why Friday the 13th actually matters. Hey, yeah, you. Put your coffee down for a second. Today, we're talking about something that's probably sitting in the back of your brain, lurking like a bad cold. Friday the 13th. Welcome to the stuff you should think about, where I answer everyday questions about phenomena and objects. I'm G. You know the vibe? You see a date on the calendar, and maybe you don't fully believe in curses, but you definitely think, maybe I shouldn't book a flight today, or I'll just stay off the ladder. Is this weird, invisible static that hums in the background of our collective culture? But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why does a specific day of the week and a specific prime number turn us into superstitious toddlers? Let's break it down. First off, get the clinical stuff out of the way so you can sound smart at your next dinner party. The fear of Friday the 13th is called paraskevidekatriaphobia. It's a mouthful, right? Even the name sounds like a hex. If you're just afraid of the number 13th in general, that's paraskevidekatriaphobia. It sounds silly, but people lose billions of dollars on these days. No joke. Thousands of people avoid flying. They don't finalize business contracts, and some people won't even leave the house. It's an economic drag. But why? The baker dozens problem. To understand the 13, you have to look at how humans like numbers. We love 12. Think about it. 12 months, 12 zodiac signs, 12 hours on the clock, 12 inches in a foot, the 12 apostles. 12 is complete. It's tidy. Then comes 13. It's the jagged edge. It's the prime number that ruins the harmony of 12. It's the outsider. Historically, humans have always been weirdly suspicious of things that don't fit into our neat little boxes of 10s and 12s. The biblical connection, the original guest list disaster. So, how did we get from 13 is a weird number to if I walk under a ladder, I'm doomed? Most humans point to the Last Supper. You've got 12 disciples plus Jesus. That's 13 people at a table. We all know how the story ended. Judas Iscariot, the guy who betrayed Jesus, was traditionally considered the 13th guest to arrive. From that point on, the 13th guest became a bad omen. If you have 13 people at a dinner party, someone's going to die. It's a myth that's been drilled into Western culture for 2 millennia. Why Friday? All right, so if we have 13, where does Friday come from? Friday has been the bad luck day for centuries. In Christianity, Jesus was crucified on a Friday. Eve allegedly tempted Adam with the fruit on a Friday. There's even a persistent, thought-debated theory that the Great Flood started on Friday. You basically took two things people were already suspicious of: the number 13 and the day of the week associated with mourning and sacrifice, and smashed them together in a super fear. It's like a cocktail of anxiety. The Knights Templar, the real-life horror movie. Here's where it gets juicy. Do you know about Friday, October 13, 1307? King Philip IV of France, a guy who was essentially broke and desperate, decided he wanted to wipe out the King's Templar. So, on that specific Friday, he had them arrested, tortured, and executed en masse. Some theorists suggest this was the real origin of the bad luck associated with the date. It wasn't a myth, it was a massacre. It's the historical equivalent of a jump scare. And if it left a scar on the collective psyche of Europe, the psychology of making it up. But gee, you might be thinking, I'm not a 14th century knight. Why do I still feel it? It's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you go into a day expecting things to go wrong, you are hyper-vigilant. You're looking for problems. If you stub your toe, you don't think, gee, I'm clumsy. You think, aha, Friday the 13th. You ignore all the times you stub your toe on Tuesday and you focus on the time you did it on the 13th. Your brain is a pattern recognizing machine. And sometimes it's a little too good at making patterns out of empty space. The modern weirdness. Think about how we've commodified this. We turned a superstition into a massive horror franchise. Friday the 13th, the movies, changed everything. Jason Voorhees isn't just a slasher. He's a pop culture icon who solidified the date as a time for gore and terror. We moved from fearing divine wrath to fearing a guy in a hockey mask. It's a weird evolution, but it shows how we take our ancient irrational fears and just reskin them for the current generation. Look, here's the reality. Statistically, Friday the 13th is actually one of the safest days to travel. But why? Because everyone else is too scared to do anything. The flight prices drop, traffic is a little lighter, and nobody is trying to start a major project. It's the ultimate anti-stress day if you just refuse to play along with the superstition. The universe doesn't care about the calendar. Chaos happens on the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. It doesn't discriminate, but as humans, we like to think there's a system. We like to think that if we can identify the bad day, we can prepare for it. We think by labeling it, we can control it. The key takeaway. So, next time the 13th lands on a Friday, do me a favor. Don't go hiding under your covers. Go out, buy a lottery ticket, walk under a ladder if you see one. Prove the statistics wrong. At the end of the day, the only real power Friday the 13th has is the power you give it. If you believe the day is cursed, you'll find curses. If you believe it's just Friday, it's just another 24 hours in the grind. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. Stay safe, not because the calendar, but because, just be careful out there in general. Catch you in the next episode.